Shalom, everybody, to another special news report. This live stream will tell you everything that you must know regarding what's happening in the Middle East, what's happening in Israel. I will uncover a UN corruption in Syria. And at the end of this live stream, I want to share something personal that touched me. So stay tuned. Let's make sure that you guys can hear me and that everything works well with this technology. Awesome. I can see you. You can see me. I'm looking forward to read your comments. And I want to start and update you on what's happening in Israel. So first of all, this week it was breaking news. Israel targeted, according to reports, Iranian targets in Syria. The reason for that is that Iran is basing itself in Syria and wants to build more and more troops, more soldiers, more military bases in Syria and in Lebanon because they want to be able to attack Israel, from close proximity. So basically, there was a night raid, as you can see. This video is particularly from Syria, from Damascus. You can see it's still unknown what kind of missiles are flying, friendly or hostile, but this happened above the skies of Damascus this week. And that's not everything. This story is keeps developing, because what you're looking at right now is planes. This is an Iranian cargo plane that has arrived to Syria from Iran days before the attack, the allegedly Israeli attack in Syria. This Iranian cargo plane has landed in Damascus and unloaded probably equipment stuff for the Assad regime in Syria. And then days later, what do you know? We are seeing this attack. So in response to that attack, we saw Putin, Russia, that called on Israel to stop attacking Syria and to stop targeting Iranian terrorist targets in Syria. Now, my question is, what is Russia doing in the first place in Syria? What are they doing there? I call on Russia to stop its military activity near the Ukrainian border, because Israel has the right to defend itself against terrorists. We will not sit back and watch how the Islamic regime in Iran is basing itself in Syria and building more power, more troops, more military equipment, while we know that it's happening, and just sit back and do nothing. So the fact that Russia called on Israel to stop targeting terrorist targets in Syria is just ridiculous. I mean, all you have to do is ask yourself, first of all, what is Russia doing in Syria in the first place? Syria should be Syria, free from Russian activity, in the same way that Ukraine is Ukraine. It does not belong to Russia. Doesn't matter how much Russia wants to occupy Ukraine. So it's very important, by the way, that the West continues to put pressure on Russia, because if you don't put pressure on them, they'll put pressure on you. So that's for sure happening. And the other thing, speaking of Syria, it was uncovered recently that the UN covered up for Assad's crimes in Syria. Exactly what you're hearing. The UN covered up for Assad in Syria. This is insane. While they are putting Israel under this magnifying glass, they are covering up for crimes against humanity in Syria. And who knows, maybe there are more. Basically, what happened is that two humanitarian UN workers were on their way to Homs, a city in Syria, and they were targeted by Assad. Mortar shells fell on them and killed them. The UN knew about it. It released a message between themselves, but it did not say that on the international media. And it happened in 2016. Two UN humanitarian aid workers were killed by the Assad regime, but the UN kept it silent because, according to them, they wanted to keep their activity and stuff like that. But I think it's just shameful. So you are poised by this ideology that you are willing to keep silent to crimes against humanity, crimes against the Syrian people, but put Israel under magnifying glass and attack Israel for being actually the one democracy in this region. So this is absolutely breaking news that the UN covered up for Assad's crimes in Syria, and did not report that aid workers were murdered by the Syrian regime, by Bashar al-Assad. So that's what's happening in Syria. I want to talk to you guys about what happened in Nablus this week in broad daylight. This is what happened. This is a car of 3 Palestinian Islamic Jihad terrorists that, as you can see, I think that it might be graphic. This one, actually, no, I don't think so. But what you can see here is that this car is completely sprayed with bullets. These 3 Palestinian Islamic Jihad terrorists were eliminated by this Israeli SWAT in Nablus, and basically they were responsible for a few shooting attacks on Israeli civilians and Israeli posts, and then they planned to carry out another shooting attack on Israelis. That was the day they were eliminated. And the answer is very, very strong. You know, don't mess with Israel and don't choose terror, because if you choose terror, you'll end up like that, getting a taste of your own medicine. You know, personally, if you ask me, I think that they actually should, you know, all these terrorists should actually thank Israel for eliminating them. I mean, after all, you want to get your 72 virgins or whatever that is. So that's just ridiculous. What's even more ridiculous is that they then called for a day of rage, a day of rage. We miss those days against Israel, you know, raging, anger. This is what they sanctify. Exactly that. They sanctify death, while Israel and the Jewish people sanctify life. They celebrate terrorism while we celebrate peace. That's the difference. So after the Israeli SWAT eliminated these 3 Palestinian terrorists, they called for a day of rage, and they just take a look at their what happened in their this ceremony that they had, the funeral. Let me pull that up. It's just incredible because they were holding weapons. They were like that was when they called for the Day of Rage. Weapons, more and more hate against Israel. And I think that the solution to that is, first of all, education. We can't let more generations grow up to hate the Jewish people. They teach them that Israel does not have the right to exist. I served in the Israel Defense Forces, and they teach them that when you see an Israeli soldier, that's the monster. That's your greatest enemy. Not realizing that actually their greatest enemies are their very own Palestinian leaders that work against them. The corrupt leadership that takes money from the Palestinian people and invests it in their own personal reasons. So this is just absolutely shameful. And another thing that really incredible that you have to know about that happened is that, so do you remember last month, Hamas fired a rocket on Tel Aviv city? How surprising. Hamas fired a rocket from Gaza to Tel Aviv, and this is the footage that happened. It happened last month. Fire at you. It was an accident. So basically, Israeli intelligence team, they just now are telling that this was not an accident. After investigating the case, they determined that this was not an accident and they did it on purpose. But this is This is actually ridiculous. You have to be stupid to believe Hamas when they tell you that they fired at you by accident. I mean, last time I checked, you can bump into someone in the supermarket and say, oh, that was an accident, I apologize. But pressing a button that fires a missile at Israel, I'm sorry, this is not a mistake. This happened on purpose, and they know that. So I hope that there will be a response to that, because while Israel did respond and targeted terrorist targets in Gaza, I still think that it's not enough, because they are making fun of us. The other topic that I want to talk about, this is the main course, Iran. And you have to understand that what I'm about to say is going to affect your life and the lives of people around the world, because Iran is actually right now celebrating 43 years to the Islamic Revolution in Iran. Now, just look at that, celebrating. This is the Azadi Tower in Tehran, a very, very iconic tower in Tehran. And now this is them celebrating with fireworks and everything. But I think the big question here, the big question that we should ask ourselves is, what are they celebrating exactly? Celebrating what? Celebrating what exactly? It's 43 years since the Islamic Revolution in Iran, 43 years since this man came to Iran. This video, this footage that you're looking at of when Khomeini, the founder of the Islamic regime, this footage shows you this is the worst day in Iranian history. When this plane has landed in Iran, when this murderer has arrived to Iran, and basically they celebrated. They celebrated by chanting "Death to Israel." This is how they celebrated 43 years to the Islamic Revolution, by burning the flag of Israel and chanting "Death to Israel." And I saw a kid holding holding a flag of the United States. And this is exactly what they are all about hate. Because think with me, okay? Take a moment. Think with me. Israel is a country with approximately 9 million people. Iran is a country with over 80 million people. Obviously, Iran is bigger than Israel. The population and everything. Israel is this small country in the Middle East, and Israel never threatened war against Iran, but Iran keeps threatening war against Israel. And I'm gonna expand on that in just a minute. But they live to hate the Jewish people and hate Israel, and everything, all their money, all their sponsorship of terrorism is channeled to terrorism against the West and against Israel. But then think about it, it's funny. It doesn't make any sense. Why would Israel be a threat to 80 million Iranians? That's the greatest lie that the regime tells the Iranian people, because the truth is that Israel had great relations with the Iranian people. Israel never threatened to destroy Iran. It's them that the regime, not the Iranian people, but the regime. I can promise you that this video, you would not see Iranian people celebrating the revolution, because Iranian people, they regret every moment that happened in 1979, this revolution. Now, the next thing, talking about Iran, the regime wanting to eliminate Israel, they are not just talking, they just let's watch that. Basically, this is a new missile called Khaybar that they unveiled this week. Again, a lot of news this week. And let's watch this propaganda video that they released. Let's watch it.
بسیار چابک، تاکتیکی و در بکارگیری خیلی امکان خوبی برامون فراهم شده.
دشمنان انقلاب و جمهوری اسلامی جز زبان قدرت و زور چیزی رو متوجه نمی‌شوند.
Oh, I gotta say a word before commenting on that. They're great with video editing and with their propaganda machine. They love these epic sounds. They love these booms and stuff like that. But basically, let me say a word about that rocket. It's called Hybar, and not for it's for a very specific reason. Because in case you don't know, Hybar is in the 7th century, there was a battle of Khaybar where Muhammad's army attacked and overrun a Jewish community in Khaybar. And basically, it has become a chant in the radical Islamist world that when you want to say chant instead of death to Jews, they will chant Khaybar Khaybar. Which you know, and it goes on, and they basically tell the Jews, remember, Jews, what happened in Khaybar. And what happened in Khaybar, Jews were murdered and overrun by Muhammad's army. So they just unveiled this missile called Khaybar, and basically what they're trying to say is that, remember that battle, it's coming at you. So they are all about terrorism and radicalism. And just imagine what they could have done with all this money if they supported the Iranian people, if they invested in the Iranian people. Because I believe that Iranian people, they are amazing people. And as an Israeli, I love the Iranian people. And I call you to love them too, because they are not our enemy. And it's very important to understand that. Now, we talked about Iran. Let's talk about the current situation. Let's zoom out a little bit. There is a coalition and a special alliance that is being formed right now as we speak. First of all, it begins with the United States sending its most powerful fighter jet to the Gulf. It's F-22. It's going to the Gulf in order to deter the Islamic regime in Iran, because there are a lot of military exercises happening in the Middle East right now. Part of it is to put a show on and to show your capabilities, but the other reason is to deter the United States. And there is something very important that happened this week, and it's that. Let's take a look at that. We are right now looking at the International Maritime Exercise 2022. Why is it special, you're asking? Well, that's a great question. It's basically Israel participating in a naval exercise with Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, UAE, Sudan, Egypt, Jordan, and the United States, and many other countries. It's Israel participating in the same exercise, same military exercise with Saudi Arabia. And it's basically a coalition that's being formed against the Islamic regime in Iran. That's posing a big threat. Currently, the Islamic regime in Iran is responsible for 99% of the problems in the Middle East. So when you see Saudi, Emiratis, Bahrainis, Sudanis, Egyptians, and everybody coming together with Israel. We used to be enemies, but no, now we are working together to combat this existential threat. The West has to open its eyes and to understand that there is an ongoing war. This naval exercise, by the way, is happening while China, Iran, and Russia just held their own large naval exercise. So this is partially meant to combat this, but you can have an image that there are two different coalitions, Iran, Russia, and China, in North Korea, and in the other side, you see United States, Israel, and the sane Arab world. So I'm telling you, we are going to see a lot of interesting surprises in the Middle East, and this is huge news. This is huge news to see Saudi Arabia training alongside Israel, even though we don't have relations. Now, talking about military capabilities, talking about Israel, let's say a few sentences about the Israeli Air Force. The Israeli Air Force, they bought a while ago 12 U.S.-made helicopters, CH-53K. That's the helicopter. Oh, that's beautiful. So, basically, yeah, let's have that image. So basically, the Israeli Air Force purchased 12 of those. It's very advanced, and it's meant to replace Israel's aging helicopters. And the cool thing, the amazing thing about this helicopter is that it has the potential of being operated with the minimum of aircrew. It basically can operate in an unmanned operation, basically, and this is the biggest news here. This is truly amazing that this helicopter, the 12 helicopters are going to arrive to Israel in 2026. And basically, it means that Israel can conduct operations behind enemy lines with the minimum risk of Israeli troops. And this is, it also hints, you see, everything's coming together. This coalition, China, Iran, Russia, United States, Israel, and the Arab world, and now Israel purchasing this new helicopter, this naval exercise that we are seeing with 60 nations. This is really, really coming to a very, very dangerous junction. And I will be here to report the news, to report the true news, because the world must understand that Israel, in all of this, is the center of sanity in an island of insanity. So supporting Israel is supporting your future as well, and siding with Israel is standing on the right side of history. And obviously, most of you guys know this, but I feel like it's very important to encourage more and more people to understand this situation. And before I read some of your comments, because I really do want to engage, I'm seeing a lot of comments that I want to respond to, including Uyghurs in China. But I do have to say that yesterday I officially launched my Patreon account. And I just have to say that I'm truly, truly amazed to see you guys supporting me and supporting my work. I invite you to join me on Patreon. I'll put a link after this live stream ends. And I just have to say thank you so much for enabling me to take this journey together. And for now, you basically can take an active stance in supporting Israel and standing up to the lies, because I intend to focus more on fighting against the lies, fighting anti-Semitism, fighting Israel boycotts, and creating more content, for more pro-Israel content, and telling the truth. And I need you on my team. I need you with me because it's getting harder. It's getting harder and harder. I don't have a team. This whole live stream is operated by me, my iPad here, so my camera. So it's just us. And when it's just us, and with the ongoing threats and war and lies, fake news, misinformation, I need you guys. So I do appreciate you supporting me on Patreon, donating. It really means a lot to me, and it enables me to focus just on that, just on telling the truth. Let's read some of your comments. Quad 2.0. India, Israel, UAE, USA. That's indeed an incredible alliance. Let's see some of your other comments. They go by so fast. We support Israel. Long live Israel from India. Keep up the good work, brother. Thank you, Andrew. I really appreciate this. Greetings from Indonesia. Thank you, Punkers. It's really amazing. Greece is a peaceful country as well. Israel should have relations with them. Yeah, Israel and Greece are very, very close, and we are not going anywhere. Our alliance is stronger than ever. Sonia is saying, thank you so much for keeping us updated. Thank you. Thank you for your support and for sharing the truth. I think it's very important. On YouTube, we are seeing Ranbir saying, Am Israel Chai. Amen. Amen. We are not going anywhere. And that's very important. Somebody asked, how are you? What about COVID? So thanks for asking. I'm recovered from COVID. I do have a lot of interesting questions, and it's a very interesting topic in general. The COVID, the whole vaccination rollout, and what's happening with the trackers in Canada and the United States. I am going to cover this because it's very worrying, to be honest. It's no longer about excuse me. It's no longer about COVID. People are politicizing this. Governments are politicizing this, and this is not okay. Let's see. Love from USA. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Robert is saying, love Israel. Guys, I'm all for reading your comments right now. Biafrans love Israel. I love you guys. Thank God. Shabbat Shalom. Yeah, I am. It's Shabbat right now. Shabbat in Israel. So we are going to celebrate this. When are you coming to India? I still don't know. I really do want to visit. Oh, this comment is just, oh, where did it go? This is really touching. Israel is not just 9 million. You have 1 billion supporters from India. Amen. We are stronger together. It's really amazing that we are able to stand together. Shabbat Shalom. We stand for Israel. From Philippines, Rebecca Mireless is saying, exactly. I hope you're feeling better, both of you. Thank you so much. I am doing very. I'm doing much better. So and it's all thanks to you. Can you read my name? Aryan, of course. Let's see. Seeing a lot of your comments. So I just have to say thank you so much. Until next time, I am going to keep reporting. Make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Facebook and connect with me on Instagram. We have to make sure that we're all connected. We're all connected because I love to keep it diverse. Post one thing on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and my Telegram channel. I'm going to focus more on posting stuff on Telegram and focus more on creating for you guys. And so I'm gonna post a lot of news stuff on Telegram, and so make sure you're part of my channel on Telegram because it's very important. Telegram will be the place for you from now on to get your latest and truest news regarding Israel and regarding what's happening here. So again, thank you very much for your comments. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate this. You guys are my family online, and now with Patreon, it's really entering a special task force. So I am very excited to see what more we can achieve together. So I'm sending love to you from Israel to the United States, Canada, India, wherever you are. I really do love you. So thank you so much, and bye-bye.